It is 10:09 a.m. and I have one trade with ILUS and I am looking at BERI. This one is a bit interesting, a little scary the trade because this one is like a high spread OTC. Doesn't have like the best daily chart, but I want to see what it can continue to do over a longer period of time. There were two setups that I could have taken. Is this thing gonna work? There were two setups that I could have taken in theory, but yeah, this one is just a bit scary. So it had a nice uptrend, not the best daily chart, but I do like how it has a lot more volume here than it's previously traded. And there was a run up here, and although this one doesn't have much volume, it at least showed that it had a gap up the next day, and it did close near its highs, and then there was some volume here, but it didn't look like it really did very much there. So I do take into consideration that this could just have a gap up, run up, and then just sells off the rest of the day. And now this looks like a symmetrical triangle, so it will be pretty cool if it could break above the line and then maybe get above this 26 level and perhaps get into the 30s. There was a potential setup here when it had the first uptrend, and then it had like a quick downtrend right here. This was like a mini bull flag. I've seen this pattern work a few times, and maybe when I'm more experienced, I can be able to push myself and be a part of it. And I was also watching this when it had the first dip under VWAP. There was not any volume here besides this little tick. And yeah, when it started to do it, it did it with a pretty quick uptrend because that's just the way it trades. And that was a pretty nice move. In theory, I could have been in at, yeah, this 21.5 level, and it did get to 25. So that's a pretty nice percent gain, and I'll be watching this. I did trade ILUS just very briefly in the morning. I just got out of my comfort zone and really traded this one despite the fact that it had an ugly spread from 11.9 to 11.6, which doesn't seem like much, but it is because if you buy at the very top 11.9 and then it breaks the 11.6 level right here, or if you want to be exact 11.59, and then it starts to downtrend, maybe you're going to sell into the 11s because it just has a wide spread. So not really too ideal, but I did buy 2,500 shares at 11.9 and I was at 931 right here when it looked like it was going to do it right then and there, but it did take a little bit longer. It did downtrend again, but despite the fact that it had a wide spread and everything, it did do it. It broke past it, as you can see, at 932, and I did sell at 933, 500 shares. Both of these executed around the same time. This one was sitting for a while, but I essentially got out the next minute at 12:05, which was right here after I had the run up and everything, and I didn't like how many big sellers there were at the ask above the 12 level, so I did sell for that reason. It did downtrend a little more. It's been trading back and forth. This might even make a symmetrical triangle as well. Or maybe I'm just going crazy, right? Just looking at all of these triangles. Actually, no, this one doesn't really. Yeah, this one doesn't really make one, but I'll continuously be watching ILUS. This one is also something that looked nice in the morning, but this is way worse than BRI because you can tell this one doesn't have like a very huge amount of volume compared to the rest of the days. There were like these little run-ups here, so it kind of makes more sense that this one didn't really work out as nicely, and this is the other one to compare. I'll keep watching this one. It looks like it broke. Is that really a print? If that's a print, it broke under it, and that's a bearish move, especially if it breaks below VWAP. But I think this might just be a little glitch right here when you load a chart and it hasn't had a print go through, but maybe it did break below it. I'll make an update later. Just looking at BERI once again and ILUS. Okay, the market has just closed 4 o'clock p.m. I am here to call it off. Overall, it'll be up on the day, just $3.75, trading ILUS in the morning. And this one, I mean, it kind of worked out, but there were just too many sellers at the ask once it broke past the 12-cent level, and I got out of the position at 12:05. It did continue the trade back and forth with 12 being a resistance level. And I'm glad that it did break past it later because that could have been a setup I could have taken. in theory, it almost looks like another. Actually, no, this is not a symmetrical triangle. This is more of a ascending triangle because only the bottom right here, the bottoms are getting higher, and this level does not change. And then once it finally, broke past it, that's essentially what made the move towards the upside. I could have been maybe more ready to consider a setup with that one, and that did uptrend a bit higher. It got to the, what is this 12.8 level. Let's see if I can actually move that back the way it was. There wasn't really anything else that I would have considered trading, and I don't like how it looks on a daily chart so much, but this can be something that could essentially be a morning panic bounce play in the future, or if it tries to convincingly break well above 12, it can be like a multi-day breakout and it can continue the uptrend. Then it could totally happen that maybe the next day it just has like an explosion and it gets to the 13s, or maybe it will continue to, just stay here and perhaps downtrend at some point. So I'll definitely be looking at those two setups. There really wasn't anything else with this one that I was interested in, or this one. This one actually was interesting. I was looking at it, but a little too sketchy. I thought that it could have been like something where when it had that drop here in the morning, it was going to hold this 35-ish level, or worst case scenario, it breaks further down and it gets to the 30 level or the 3 cent level. It just doesn't have that much volume. This was a pretty big uptrend. And then this one that was uptrending, essentially, yeah, it broke under. And then once it got below VWAP, that made it really bad. So there wasn't anything else to really consider with this one. That's it for today. Just that scratch trade with ILUS, but at least there was that potential for, a setup here that I could have traded. And I'll be watching it tomorrow.